Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel The Power of Excel. In the last video a few days back, we had talked about one of the limitations of the VLOOKUP function, that is, it is unable to fetch data efficiently in case we add a few new columns to the right hand side of the lookup column. Today's video we're going to talk about another limitation of the VLOOKUP function, that is, it is unable to fetch data on the left hand side of the lookup column. So what we'll do is we'll try and add a couple of more functions to the VLOOKUP function, and we'll try and fetch data from the left-hand side, which otherwise it is unable to if we use just the VLOOKUP function. Let's see how we can do this. To demonstrate the workaround for this limitation of the VLOOKUP function, I'm going to use the same dataset which we have been using in the past couple of videos with regards to the VLOOKUP function, which involves the employee master data. So in this particular data set, just for simplicity purpose and just to save time, I have named this header row in the employee master data as emp header and the data set as emp data. This is just to save time in case we are using the VLOOKUP function so that we don't have to convert data into the absolute referencing style. And in the annual bonus employees sheet, what I've done is I have used my reference as the email address. That is, this is going to be my lookup column. And I want to fetch employee ID, employee name, and designation with regards to these employee email addresses. And if you might have seen, I've put some numbers here, which again can be fetched very easily. I can simply delete this and redo this again for the purpose of demonstration. But this is basically the index of these specific columns, that is email address, employee ID, employee name, and designation in my employee master data. So let me do it quickly. And so for example, if I want to fetch the index of the email address, what I'll do is I'll simply use the match function and use this as my lookup value. And then I'll go to my employee master data, or rather if I just type emp header, I should be getting the header row from the employee master data sheet. And since my matching style is exact match, I'll use 0 there and I'll get my index for the email address. Similarly, I'm going to extend this to employee ID, employee name, and designation as well. Just by dragging this. So as you can see, this is the email address, which is the rightmost column in my employee master data. And I want to fetch employee ID, employee name, and designation based on this email address column. So this is my lookup column in this case. And now if I go back to my annual bonus employees sheet and try and fetch this. So for the purpose of simplicity, I put this function, this formula here as well, but I'll help you out with how we can do it step by step. Although I'm sharing all these Excel sheets or data sets along with my video, if you go to the description of the video and you want to download these sheets, you can do it very easily. So I put the function, I put the formula here as well. Plus, I'll be letting you use this particular formula over here and explain how we are done this and what we have done in this particular case. Since we have to use the VLOOKUP function, so I'm going to put the VLOOKUP function and lookup value instead of the lookup value accessing this value directly. I'm going to use my index function, which is another very beautiful function and works similar to my VLOOKUP function. And in the index function, I'm going to use my array. It asks, when we talk about the index function, it asks for 3 parameters here: the array, the row number, and the column number. And so in this case, my array is my emp data. So emp data is nothing but the entire data set in my employee master data. And my row number. For the for extracting the row number, what I've done is I've made use of the match function in this particular case. And in the match function, my lookup value, here is where the lookup value comes into the picture. So my lookup value is still B3. This is my B3 cell, which is my employee email address for the very first row in my annual bonus employees sheet. So B3, and since I want to do it for only this specific column, that is column B, which has my email addresses, I'll give it a mixed reference where I'll fix up the column there. And in terms of the lookup array, I'm going to go to my employee master data. This is my employee master data. And in this particular case, my lookup column is going to be my column which has the email addresses, only the values and not the header. So since I had not given it any name as such, so I'll have to select it completely from the sheet itself. And since I want to use this as a static reference, I'll give it absolute reference by entering the dollar symbols there. And now, since my match type is exact match, I'll go for exact match here and I'll close the bracket. Now let me come back to the my annual bonus employee sheet. So an annual bonus employee sheet, what I'll do is, since I'm looking at entering the column number here, now my major point of contention over here is that to fetch data from the left-hand side of the lookup function, from the lookup column, what I'll do is I'm assuming that my leftmost column in the employee master data is a unique column which can act as a primary key. That means it has unique values and can act as a primary key. So basically, I'm moving the reference from my email address, which is column 4, as you can see, the index, which has the index 4, to my first column, which is equivalent to my employee ID. So since my column is going to remain, column number or column index is going to remain as 1, I'm going to put a 1 here manually, right? I could also fetch this, but for the purpose of simplicity, I'm going to use 1 in this particular scenario, and I'm going to close this. So this is my lookup value. So I've used the VLOOKUP function, and within the VLOOKUP function, I've used the index function, which is fetching me the value for the very first for column in my employee master data, right? Corresponding to the employee name, employee email address, sorry, which I have in my annual bonus employee sheet. So I'm going to repeat this. So what I'm trying to do is for this employee email address, I'm going to fetch my first column from the employee master data, right? And that is my employee ID. And based on that employee ID, I'm going to fetch the remaining attributes. That is my purpose, or that is my objective here. So this is something I have done. So I put in the lookup value. My table array as such remains the same. So I'll just say or enter employee data in this case. And for the column index number, again, I'm going to make use of my a match function, not the match function, not even the match function, since I already know the column index for my employee ID. I'm going to take this data from my cell, that is C1. And since this has to remain fixed for all the columns, that is employee name and employee designation as well, I'm going to give it a mixed reference wherein I'll fix up the first row by adding a dollar there. And this is my column index. and my range lookup value will remain as false since I'm looking for exact match. So if I close this, I should be in a position to get my employee ID corresponding to the email address, that is employee1005 at the rate abc.com. And now if I drag this down, I should be able to fetch the employee IDs for these email addresses. And mind you, these employee IDs are on the left-hand side of my lookup column, which is my email address in this particular case. So this is my employee ID, which is on the left-hand side, and this is my email address, which is on the extreme right-hand side. So now going back to my annual bonus employees sheet, I can easily drag this towards the right to copy this for the remaining records, for the remaining columns as well, which includes my employee names and my designation. And as you can see, we have been able to fetch the employee name and the designation by making use of the VLOOKUP function in addition to index and match function, which is just a workaround in this particular case. So as you can see, this is a beautiful way by which we can actually overcome the limitation of the VLOOKUP function and use of index and match function in addition to the VLOOKUP function makes this function really deadly. So that is a very nice way of extracting data, which is on the left-hand side of my lookup column. The only assumption in this particular case is, because that is very important, is that my first column will always be a kind of a primary key, which has unique value in each row. So that is my basic assumption in this particular case. So I think you must have enjoyed watching this video. And thank you so much for watching all our content and all our videos. It has been a real pleasure bringing all this content to all of you. Very big thank you to everybody for their love and support. And we'll keep moving on with more such content and more such videos in the coming future as well. Thank you so much once again and have a great day. Thank you.